Hey, what's going on, guys? It is me, Parkzy here, your coach of the Armaldos. Today we are here with the London Arsenal. Thank goodness I pronounced your name right. How you doing, Has?
Hey,
Okay,
I think, yeah, that's a decent shout. Yeah, I'd say you not got that spot on.
yeah, you can definitely tell
We
him.
can say each other's names.
That's good. That's a good start. You can definitely tell
Yeah,
I'm Northern
that is a
Irish.
good start.
Okay, so
It shows our great chemistry.
so I've got a few questions to ask Has today. If you do want to check out his channel, it will be down in the description, as well as all the other coaches. You can check it down on the side of the YouTube channel or whatnot. So we have got a few questions, but the first one is, when and why did you start competitive Pokemon? A double whammy question for the first one.
Ooh. Okay, well, let's start with how I got into Pokemon. Basically, I think it was 2007. I was over at my cousin's place, and they had a Game Boy Color which had Pokemon on it. It had Pokemon Go, and then I started playing that, and then from there, that's pretty much how I've gone into Pokemon. To be honest, I've never really been hugely into competitive, but I started watching NBZ back in Gen 4, and that's sort of where I'd say I'd started like watching a lot of competitive. But I never had Wi-Fi, and Showdown obviously wasn't out at that time. So it wasn't until Gen 5 where I started playing online a bit. That's mostly where I played most of my online competitive sort of things. Because in Gen 6 I went off Pokemon for a bit, but towards the end of Gen 6 and into Gen 7, I sort of got more into the draft format, basically off the UCL. I mean, I actually watched the first season draft stream, and I sort of didn't have any idea what was going on. But it wasn't until the UCL season 2 that I really just got into draft league. I went back, I watched a lot of the older seasons of the GBA, and that's basically where I've got to.
Okay, so that's pretty good. So why did you start competitive Pokemon? Any particular reasons?
Well, I've always liked singles, to be honest. I just find building your own teams, and then it's just more relaxing. I'd say. I find sometimes competitive Pokemon can be a bit stressful, and it relies on hacks and all. But with singles, the thing I like about it is that I can constantly build different teams, and I can use all these new Pokemon which I haven't used before, and try to build teams around it. And obviously, just hearing that sort of sounds similar to like the draft format, and I think that's why I've like really gone into the draft format, because I played singles a lot in Gen 5, but one, I wasn't very good at it. I only really landed in NU, and two, it just wasn't really for me. I mean, even now I haven't really played that much competitive in Gen 7, so
Okay,
yeah.
that's pretty good. Okay, so you got a few Pokemon out of my ideas, I'll just admit. But why have you got Scolipede as your Z user?
Well, I had a few options here. I had like Infernape, Pangoro is a very good one with Z parting shot, Z me first, which increases its speed by 2. I had a lot of options here, but I feel like with Z moves, once I get to +2, and I put a Z crystal on basically the opponent's Scolipede counter. Let's say like a Toxapex, for example. I put Groundium Z on it. That thing's no longer a check at +2, and go and sweep the opponent's team with ease. Once I
Yeah.
get to +2 with Scolipede and I get the speed boosts, it becomes very, very hard to stop. Like Scolipede's a pretty good one on its own, but I feel like with Z moves it just takes it to the next level.
Yeah, I feel like people underrate Z Scolipede because its coverage isn't that good, but what you gotta consider is it has enough coverage to counter its checks as well, so like if you have a fire type as you're switching, it can run Rocky MZ Rock Slide or Ground MZ Earthquake or Aqua MZ Aqua Tail. I mean Wash
Yeah,
MZ, sorry.
exactly. Yeah, I think with the team I have enough wall breaking power, so I
Yeah.
think helping Scolipede sweep was like really essential.
Okay, so my next question is, did you have a plan going into this draft?
Okay, so every season except season 1, because I was sort of new, I've always had a plan. So in season 2, I had a plan of McGinn and Megalopunny. the pick before me, Beginner, gets taken. Season 3, I had the plan of Manaphy, Charizard X, and Alolan Ninetales. Manaphy gets taken round 1. Charizard X wouldn't have even made it back to me anyway, so I didn't really mind that. Season 4, so this season, I've never really done a point system draft before, so this is all completely new to me. So when I was planning this, I thought, why not try out these Pokemon which are usually considered tier? But I've always never really wanted to. I've always wanted to use them as such, but I've never been able to quite fit them in. So either that I don't have enough, I don't have enough free points for them, or that they get taken before I want to because I prioritize other mons. So I was really looking at the main two being Infernape and Tornadus T, and then just building around that. So I also had ideas like a sand core between Excadrill and Landorus Eye, and I had a few other ideas. But obviously, Tornadus T got taken. I know you were also looking at Tornadus T, so it probably wouldn't have got to me anyway.
That's good with Pokemon with Defog, definitely.
So pretty much I had to make it up on the spot as I do every season. But whilst in other seasons I think I've gone away with it, this season I think I have less so.
I think it's still a good team, but you got quite a few double typings, which I'm guilty of as well on my team. But this leads me on to my next.
It's not really the double typings as such, because things like Gliscor and Excadrill only share one weakness, as do like Infernape and Pangoro. So that's not really the thing that bothers me as such.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is. This has been divided into four divisions, and this doesn't have to be in your division or anyone that you battle this season, but what team do you think generally has the best matchup versus your team?
Before about that, to be honest, I think everyone has the potential to beat this team, if I'm being completely honest, because I know a lot of people said that I lack a lot of bulk, and that's sort of true. It's sort of true to an extent. I think it's not the thing that I lack bulk in general, because a lot of them are quite naturally bulky themselves. I don't have any out and out walls, I'd say. So that forces me to play a much more offensive game every single week, and that can become quite predictable. So I think basically any team can beat mine as long as they play around.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I wouldn't say that your team is necessarily not bulky, because you've got Jellicent, Diancie, and Eelektross. I just think that your team's reliable recovery isn't the best, because you kind of have Gliscor.
And Jellicent, yeah, they're not too bad. I mean, Mega Gardevoir does get Wish.
Yeah.
If I want to play that, but obviously that's a really unreliable Wish pass.
Okay, so
and obviously you don't want it to run Wish pass every week.
Yeah, I know. You don't really want that out of your Mega. So what team do you? What do you think your record will be in this DGBA season?
1-8. Let's go.
1-8. Okay.
I'm gonna get absolutely destroyed with this team.
Question is, who are you gonna beat though?
I don't know if you can tell. I absolutely hate this team.
Oh, good. It's all right. It's a pretty good team, I'd say. But
I'm really torn about it, guys, because there's a lot of things I like about it. I really like the offensive pull. I'm just not sure if I think teams can exploit this team quite. That's really my issue with it. Maybe I'm being a bit maybe I'm being a bit harsh on it. I don't know. I'm just not feeling this team as well as I have with my other teams in previous seasons.
Okay. Well,
maybe that's just me, though. Maybe that's just me, and it will turn out fine. We'll
you are bannable, so who knows what you could do. You could pull off some funky stuff. I definitely think that there's quite a bit of diversity in your team for what you can bring. And my next question is, what Pokemon do you think will be the most fun to use on your team?
There are so many fun things to use in this team. That's like the one reason I sort of stuck with this plan almost, because you can do two things which are being really slept upon are Pangoro and Drampa. Pangoro plus Mega Gardevoir, I think you know as well as I do how disgusting those two are offensively.
It just gives you so much.
There are very few switches to that. And Drampa, I'll advise everyone who's watching this video to go and look up its move pool. It is insane for 5 points. Like, this thing learns so many moves, and it even learns some really good status moves as well. So I can either run it as more of a
defensive Pokemon,
like a support one. There we go.
Yeah, it's a pretty good Pokemon. It also gets some pretty good abilities. It gets Sap Sipper and Berserk, which are pretty nice abilities. So don't sleep on Drampa, guys. And my final question is, why did you settle on your team name being the London Arsenal?
This is it's a funny story. This basically, you know the GBA site.
Yep.
Yeah, you know. Basically, it's for those who don't know, it's a site where you can join draft leagues. So people can advertise their draft league and put their Discord and such, and you can join them. So if you want to get into draft league, that's my recommendation of how to get into. And in there they have like a bunch of like default teams you can use. So like stuff like the St. Louis Rampados, the Real Maril. And basically, I chose the Real Maril, but someone else had who'd applied just before me had also chosen that.
Right.
I just decided, since I'm a huge Arsenal fan, I want my name to be revolved around Arsenal, and I wasn't the London Arsenal, which is what I ended up in the end, or the AFC Wimpod, which is based on AFC Wimbledon, my local team. But to be honest, would you rather have a Wimpod or would you rather have God itself?
Yeah, that is true. Like, your RCS is pretty dope in your wee badge.
Yeah, the only problem is loads of coaches can't pronounce it. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right. Who knows? Who knows?
Haz, we're in the same boat here, buddy. Okay, we're in the same boat here. Right, okay, so that's going to be the end of the DGBA. I definitely encourage you guys to check Haz down in the description and check me out if you want as well. It's been great interviewing Haz. Anything else you want to say before we end the video, Haz?
Basically, anyone who has any Pokemon, please drop them so I can pick them up. Especially if they're on.
Okay, so
I want the
What do you want?
See.
He needs the bulk, okay guys, he needs the bulk, so just drop your Pokemons and give him the bulk, right? But that is how we're going to end it. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next interviewing video. Goodbye.